Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Rachel Cruze Show. And I'm so excited because this episode we're going to talk all about cars. And I have the best person to help with this conversation. I have Kelly, who is the car mom. So Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Rachel. So excited to be here and to talk about my favorite topic, which is cars.
I love it. Well, you have a YouTube channel dedicated to helping moms find the best cars, anyone to find the best cars, to have confidence when you go and buy a car. You have a podcast called The Carpool with Kelly and Liz. So you spend your day talking about cars. So what made you so passionate about this? Like what makes you excited about cars?
You know, I'm the third generation to be in the car business. So my grandpa and his brother started a used car lot in 1957 in St. Louis. And then my dad and his brother grew it to a multi-store franchise with 5 different brands. And then me and my sister started a blog. So like a slightly different approach, but equally as passionate. And we are just really passionate about cars, of course, but also the car buying process. I think that dealerships across the country have not so great stereotypes or stigmas around them. And being someone whose entire livelihood is centered around car dealerships, I know there's good eggs out there. And I just want to help my audience find good dealerships, get good deals on cars, feel empowered. It really saddens me to think that there's women and families and everyone who doesn't enjoy the car buying process, because I think it's a lot of fun. So that's what we do over at The Car Mom. We keep it fun. We talk about cars, car buying, and everything in between.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Okay. So I feel like, though, the big topic of cars right now is gas because of inflation, everything going on. And it's like, it's groceries and it's gas prices, like the two big things that are happening. So for people, they're feeling it, even including me. I'm like, every time I fill up at the pump, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So do you have any tips when it comes to getting better gas mileage, like just even driving tips to help save on gas?
Yeah, there actually is quite a bit we can do to get better fuel economy in the cars that we have. The first one is to really make sure that your tires are at the correct PSI. So, I've been guilty of it. I'm like, oh, my tires light on, it's fine. That really can affect, one, it's horrible for your tires. And 2, it actually really can affect your fuel economy. So making sure your tires at the correct PSI, super important. Also, so many vehicles, especially the newer vehicles, offer eco mode. And I think a lot of the times those don't always get used. They can save a lot of fuel when you're using eco mode. Not so much on the highways, but if you're a city driver and you're just like bouncing around town, put it in eco mode. Another big tip if you are on the highway, cruise control. Cruise control is it's one of the safest and it's one of the most fuel efficient ways to drive. I'm a huge fan of cruise control. Avoid idling. I think I'm really bad at that. If I show up to daycare a few minutes early, I'll sit in my car. If it's a nice day, especially as the weather's warming up, roll the windows down, turn off your car. I'm horrible. I'll sit in my driveway for 15 minutes just drinking a nice coffee.
Yeah.
So avoid idling. And then finally, just remove any extra weight on your car. So if you can help it, and if you don't need to carry that big double stroller or all of that cargo, take out what you can. If you have roof racks on your cars and you're not using them, take them off. All of these things together can save up to 25% fuel economy, believe it or not.
That's crazy.
So there's definitely things you can do.
And I'm guilty of almost all of those. Kelly, when you're saying, I'm like, dang it. So that's amazing, though. And what it does, I feel like it's pretty empowering. We're like, okay, I actually can do something.
Yeah.
To a degree, right? Not the entire thing
100%.
of your gas budget, but there's enough that I can do that I can actually see a difference. So what kind of cars out there do you find really do have the best when it comes to fuel efficiency?
I'm really excited about the hybrids that are hitting the market right now. So there's 2 types of hybrids. There's plug-in hybrids, and then there's active hybrids, standard hybrids, regular hybrids, whatever you want to call them. One you plug in, one you don't. They work the same. They both have an electric motor. They both have an internal combustion engine, and they both work together to make your driving experience more fuel efficient. If you're deciding is a plug-in for you, is active for you, what's cool about a plug-in hybrid is you actually get to drive on electric for 20 to 30 miles of range. And those vehicles are designed to literally, you drive on electric, when electric's over, then you're switching to the engine. The active hybrids, there's no plugging in, and they just work intelligently together to make sure that you're getting the best fuel efficiency possible. I swear, every week a new hybrid is coming out. So I'm really excited about some of your favorite cars out there may be available in a hybrid that they weren't 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm excited about those. And then I'm also still excited about a lot of the sedans. Sedans are kind of dwindling away in this market. A lot of brands have taken a lot of their sedans out of their lineup, but those sedans get good gas mileage. if you look at a car, and they're still, some of them are still a really good size. So like if I'm thinking for families, they feel like, oh, I have to get this SUV, which means I have to get 15 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh no, like I install car seats for a living. Like you can fit just as many car seats in a Toyota Avalon as you can a Ford Explorer. So I think it's also just thinking about like, do you need the SUV or can you get by with a smaller vehicle? And don't necessarily think like, just because it's a sedan, it has less interior room.
So smart. That's so good though, because I'm like, yeah, there's a stereotype, or at least for me, a go-to like, oh yeah, well, of course the SUV is going to be, you know, bigger and enough room, all of it. But that's not always the case. Okay, what do you think about Teslas?
What do I think about Teslas? I like them as cars. I think that they're pretty. I think they're fine. I think it's like so annoying that they like don't have the same charger as the other electric cars. Like, why did you have to be so rude?
Elon, come on.
And I mean, I don't. I'm a big believer in local family-owned dealerships. So
Sure. Okay.
Tesla's never going to get like my full stamp of approval, but I think as cars, I think they're fun.
They're fun. Yes, I know.
Expensive, but fun.
The idea of not going to a gas station though makes me simple.
Yeah.
You mentioned the hybrid though for an element, right? You get if you plug in, you get 20, 30 miles, like you said, which is awesome. Yes. So when you said it, it just sparked in my head, and I thought, I don't know. You work hard to keep you and your family strong, but one major illness can cause a major financial setback. Preserve your physical and financial health with Christian Healthcare Ministries, the biblical, flexible, and budget-friendly healthcare choice. For more, visit chministries.org/Rachel. Okay, so if someone does have the big SUV or whatever, and they have to fill up all the time, they don't get good miles per gallon, like all that, is it worth buying a new car, like selling that and getting a sedan, getting something that's more fuel efficient? Is it worth going through that process, or do you think like you can still do things on your end to save gas and it's not worth the trouble?
I really think it depends on your driving style and the exact situation. I mean, used car prices are so high right now. SUVs hold their value better than sedans and smaller vehicles. So like if you have a large SUV that is sucking gas, it is a good time to get out of it because there is still so few large vehicles on the road right now. Like SUVs, minivans, any three-row vehicles are in such high demand right now. I think you'd get top dollar. And I think you get into a more fuel efficient car. What's interesting about what's happening right now is, you know, last time gas prices spiked like this, it was like, oh my gosh, cash for clunkers, like it's over. You don't want these cars anymore. Now the gas prices are still not ideal, obviously, but the cars are still going up in value. So I would actually say if you want better fuel economy, I do think it's probably a pretty good deal to trade it in and get something new.
Okay, so good. Okay, so you mentioned it, but it's true. It's the first time, I think, in history, or at least in my lifetime, that used cars are more expensive than new cars, which is crazy. And so for me, on my end of the money side, you know, I'm looking at the supply and the demand issues, like all of that supply chain. But for you, when you're looking at just specifically cars and in your industry, what do you think is causing it? Like, what are you seeing is causing this insane inverse of used cars are going up in value more than even a new car?
Yeah, I think what's really scary about the used car market is the new car market is going to stabilize way before the used car market will. New cars are easy to make. We need microchips. So there's a global microchip shortage happening right now. They're going to get more chips. We're going to get more new cars on the road. Like that's going to happen. To make a used car, though, we needed those chips 3 years ago. So the used car market is going to stay high for a lot longer than the new car market, which to people looking to buy a car, I actually have been telling them, like, I think a new car is not that bad of an investment. I mean, if you're after a new 2022 Hyundai Palisade, there was like, 2,000 of them built? So when you think about trading that in 3 or 4 years, there is going to be such a need for used vehicles. I think we'll be surprised to see how well those cars hold their value. Yeah, it's some spooky stuff right now, just with how few vehicles we have. And I really feel for anyone car shopping, especially for the people who are put in emergency situations, like if their car does get totaled out. I mean, I've been telling my following, start the process 6 to 8 months before you actually want to buy a car. Like new or used, honestly.
Yeah.
Gone are the days of you roll up on a Saturday morning, you roll out on a Saturday afternoon with a brand new car. You have to start that process early. So the people who don't have that luxury, I really feel for them.
For sure. Okay, so if someone is in that situation and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, yeah, totaled, or my friend, her car it literally just died. I mean, it was done. It was like 15 years old. She's like, we have to buy a new one. And the whole, I mean, it's, as she was telling me, it was like stressing me out of all the things they're having to do and go and this person there and they're driving here and there trying to figure out and buy. So what are a couple of things for people that they're like, no, I have to replace my car now. I don't have an option. Are there a couple of tips that you have? They're like, here are things to look for when you're going to replace your car.
Yeah, I think that right now it's kind of interesting for, especially if you're a car salesperson, because for the first time ever, like their job is super easy. You have nothing but customers who want cars. So my advice to people who kind of get put in these situations is like, you have to find a reputable dealer and you have to go a step further and find a good salesperson and a salesperson who like genuinely will care about their customers. I like to share this platform called Dealer Rater. It's great because you can actually read reviews about individual salespeople and then you can decide who you want to work with. Like you have to choose a good salesperson, but you also have to be proactive as a buyer to stay on that salesperson. I've kind of been comparing it to like the real estate market right now. Like if you work with a realtor, sure, they may send you a house, but like you also look for houses. You also check in with them because you want to get a house. Like if you can't just reach out to a salesperson, say, hey, I'm looking for a Kia Telluride, and then expect them to call you when one comes in because they have nothing but customers in front of them. So choose a great person and build the best relationship you can with them. Let them know you are looking to buy a car as soon as possible. And, also be as flexible as you can with things like color, trim level. And I've even had some of my following, buy not the car they want, like a really affordable used car to get them to the place where then they can be a little bit more picky with like their bigger investment of their newer vehicle.
Yeah.
I've also been really preaching, don't be scared of higher mileage vehicles. I mean, there has been a lot of things that have come out recently on why cars over 100,000 miles are okay. The cars are built to last. They are built much differently than they used to be. The manufacturers would not put in recommended maintenance for 200,000 miles if they didn't expect the cars to get there. So don't be scared of cars over 100,000 miles. Work with a good salesperson. Be flexible. And those are my tips.
So helpful. And it's a lot of people being proactive themselves, like you said. That if you want something, you have to take the responsibility as well on your end, not just expect it just to be handed to you, because it's not going to be in this market right now.
And I say don't stop window shopping. Like, I'm not trying to like plug my own car tours, but like you should always know like, oh, if something were to happen to my car, like I'd be really interested in this.
Yes.
And I think it's like good for you to know like what your next, at least to have a short list of here are the cars I would look at when I decide to go get a new vehicle.
For sure. That's awesome. So good. Okay. So besides the Tesla, my other love, Kelly, is a minivan. I never thought I'd be a minivan driver. And the Cruze family got a minivan. And I love it. I mean, it's
never
like...
say never.
That's right. Never say never. Because this thing does everything and more. It's like you sit in it, I'm like, this is insane. So I've loved it. So for you, what have been the minivans that you've researched and you found that you're like, oh yeah, these are some great options or some ones that you've loved?
Well, what's interesting about the minivan market is I think people have the misconception that there's a ton of them. There's actually only 4 minivans being made right now. So it's the Toyota Sienna, the Kia Carnival, the Honda Odyssey, and the Chrysler Pacifica. So like they're not making some of the minivans that they used to make, and it's crazy that not every manufacturer even has a minivan. Because like you said, I think minivans are awesome. I think they're sexy. I always say like, if you drive a minivan, someone thinks you're sexy. So like, I don't know where they got this stigma that they weren't cool. Like they're cool. I think the 4 minivans that are on the market, what's fun about them is they all offer something different. And they're all tricky because they all like have different things patented. So like they all can't like swap features.
Oh, interesting.
I think the Kia Carnival that just came out, it's super futuristic. It's really elevated. It's probably the best looking one. I think a car like the Honda Odyssey offers the best flexibility for multiple car seats. I think the Sienna is exciting because it's the only one that comes in a hybrid. I guess the Chrysler Pacifica comes in a hybrid now too. But they just kind of all have their own little quirks. And I definitely think like, I can't say one minivan's the best because it really depends on what you're going to be using it for daily.
Yeah.
What minivan do you have?
The Odyssey. Kelly, let me just tell you. I mean, number one, having a vacuum in the van, brilliant. Number two, the seats that slide side to side. I was
Rachel, I know.
I was done. I was like, I'll do it. And the price was crazy, which we bought ours in 2019. Knock on wood. Thank you, Jesus, that we did it before all this crazy stuff. But what I could have bought an SUV, I built an SUV online of one that I wanted, and I just put everything on it because I was online and just having fun. And, over 6 figures is what it ended up being online of what I built. And I was like, you can buy 3 minivans for the price of this thing. And it does everything. Like, It's just, and then I have a camera. I can look at the kids. I have cabin talk. I can click and it comes in the speakers. And I'm like, what am I driving? It's amazing. And when you want a cup holder? There's a cup holder. I need another one. Oh, there. Oh, I need 2 more. Well, there and there. Oh, actually, there's 4 more back here. I mean, cup holders are everywhere.
We need a car tour. You need to do a car tour for me.
Oh, it's so good.
We'll switch roles. Do a car tour.
It's so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so speaking of vans and kids and all the things, how do you keep things organized with multiple kids in the car? Are there items or products that you use that you're like, yes, you need these things in your car to keep it clean, keep it organized?
I am kind of a less is more person when it comes to keeping things in our car. And also, I think there's a lot of things sold on Amazon and Walmart that look fun and look clickbaity, but they actually tend to be like really unsafe when you kind of get down to the nitty gritty. So when it comes to like children driving in the car, I'm all about like limiting my projectiles as much as possible. So like those back of the seats organizers, like all these tablet holders, like one, I think they're kind of a waste of money, and I think they're actually pretty dangerous. So my like tips for an organized car is truly less is more. You can buy some great like mesh bags off Amazon. I do like to keep those in my center console. And then my biggest tip is, this is so silly, but I have a little plastic bin. I put it on the floorboard of the passenger seat because no one sits there daily. And anything that doesn't belong in the car goes there. Over time, like normally like 2 or 3 days, I take that basket, dump it on my kitchen table, put it back in my car. Now my kitchen table's a mess, but like I'll put that away.
Yes.
I really think I wouldn't spend your money on it. Less is more. You don't need a lot of stuff. Pack your diaper bag and then take it out of the car. I think that just makes for a better experience. If you feel better in your car when there's less clutter, that's my tip.
Yep, I love it.
And it's safer.
So good. So good. Okay, Kelly, love all your knowledge, everything that you know about the subject. And for people out there, they're like, okay, I want more. Where can everyone find you?
Oh, well, thank you. You can find me on Instagram at The Car Mom. And then we upload all of our tours and car buying tips to YouTube at The Car Mom. And then if you just want to hear some more like mom/car content, you can find us over at the Carpool Podcast.
So great, you guys. Make sure to check out everything Kelly's doing. And last question, Kelly, I ask all my guests, what's one thing that you're doing with money that's creating a life that you love?
The Car Mom's been around for about 2 years. It's been one of the biggest blessings in my life, being able to make income from the comfort of my home, the flexibility of being a social influencer. So I really strive every day to give that gift to other moms. I know what it's like to have to feel like you choose between your career or being a stay-at-home mom. So at The Car Mom, we're really passionate about hiring other moms wherever we can to help us with virtual assistant type stuff, copywriting type stuff. So that's how I like to spend my money. I like to give that gift back to moms who are looking to, have their own thing and make a little bit of their own money, but also be moms.
That's amazing. Oh, so great, Kelly. Well, thank you so much for being on, and you guys listening and watching the show. I pray that this episode helped you because, again, car buying, gas prices, all of this, we feel it almost daily. So I know these tips are going to help you. So remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.